FISA, is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, was set up and used primarily in the wake of 9/11. And what it is it's a tool, very important national security tool, used by intelligence community as well as security folks within our government to go after warrants to track the bad guys, for lack of a better word, foreign terrorists, like the title would suggest, foreign players. It's a surveillance element that we use.
So after decades of trying to figure this out, basically what came out of this was, here's where I'll start talking about 702. A legal structure was put in place whereby the government could go to U.S. companies, and that's really the key there, to U.S. companies, to folks that are running networks, to people that are running email operations, et cetera, and say, hey, we want this individual's emails. Now, this individual has to be a non-U.S. person. The targets of 702 by law must be non-U.S. persons who also are designated targets for intelligence collection. Where this gets complicated, and this is where the controversy is, when you get a legitimate, I think nobody would argue that we should ask people for emails for somebody that we suspect is a terrorist planning a bombing attack. That terrorist may be emailing an American.
Per the letter of the description of 702, you cannot go after U.S. citizens with 702. Let me first say this. There have been violations of FISA in the past. There's been a lot of violations of FISA in the past. And so what people have equated these FISA violations to have been 702. But the reality is that the bulk of the FISA sort of abuses and fraud and misuse, intentionally in many cases, was actually associated with the non-702, the FISA, what we would call Title I, that actually does allow them to get warrants against Americans.
So I completely object to the use of the word spy, right? Because if I'm spying on you, I'm saying, gosh, I really want to know a lot about Dana, right? I'm spying on you. 702 cannot be used to spy on an American. If the FBI, because it's the FBI that's in the business of wiretapping Americans or whatever, wants to do that, they need to go to a judge to get a warrant to do so. So no, it is absolutely not a vehicle to spy on Americans.
We have actually visited the FBI to see how they mechanically go through this application process. And what I've been pushing Attorney General Garland and FBI Director Wray is to hold people who have abused this accountable. People that have intentionally or with extreme negligence failed to go through the due process and the due diligence needed to actually kick this off, these warrants off, should be held accountable. And ultimately what we were told is it's not illegal to fraudulently use a FISA application or 702 or otherwise just a vanilla FISA application. It's against the rules. It's an internal rule that they have within the FBI, but it's not illegal. And so the accountability side of this is really a problem. So something we're looking at doing is putting criminal penalties, actual statutory penalties in place for either intentional misuse of the FISA process, 702 or otherwise, or negligence that leads to civil liberties and constitutional encroachments on private citizens.
When you are getting emails or texts, or in some cases phone conversations from people abroad, every once in a while, on the other side of that conversation, text or email, is an American. So again, that's the uncomfortable thing here. Every once in a while, when you're getting the emails of somebody who's a legitimate non-U.S. target, you get U.S. emails. And the question is, what do you do with that? Some people say there should be, if the CIA or whoever, FBI, wants to look at those emails, they should go get a warrant. That's the position of the ACLU and a number of people here in Congress.
We need this tool from a national security perspective. There's a reason we have it. And we can't, in my opinion, afford to renew any of this stuff, 702, and miss this opportunity to change the overarching FISA application process via the 702 renewal process without the reform. We can't just hand this very precious tool back over to the FBI because they've shown a proclivity to abuse it, frankly. So the FBI has acknowledged that there's been abuses. The White House itself has acknowledged now that there's been abuses, and they are open and wanting reform.
We need to think about whether the law should change to make it more burdensome, if you will, for the government to actually look at the U.S. recipient's email. That's the whole conversation we're having right now. The other thing that needs to happen, which is a no-brainer, critics of this program will point out that over the years, the FBI has been, to put it graciously, slipshod about how they have handled the use or the fact that they have access to U.S. person information. And I tell you, the director of the FBI would be the first to say that in the past, they did not do all that they should to protect privacy. So they've made a lot of reforms. At a minimum, we're going to put into law those reforms, but we're having a big conversation here on Capitol Hill about what else. What else needs to be done to satisfy us that Americans' privacy will be protected?
The short answer is we should renew it with the caveat that we implement these reforms, and the executive branch and the DOJ should take these reforms on as well. And I think now that they realize this isn't going to be, just a straight stick renewal of 702, clean renewal, as is, they're realizing that the reforms are going to be part of a package for renewal.
Probably the most sensitive intelligence product that is produced from our collection is the President's Daily Brief, for obvious reasons. And a very substantial percentage of the reporting in the President's Daily Brief, this is the stuff that is threatening to us now, comes from 702 collection. Every single day, the FBI is using 702 to stop cyber attacks on groups like the Colonial Pipeline and individuals. We are tracking down terrorists, so it must be reauthorized. The unanswered bit of that is with what reforms? Because yes, there will and must be reforms.
We can't let this tool get put back in the hands of some of these users without making sure that they don't hurt themselves or the folks around them with it. So this isn't our fault. It's amazing to me that some of this stuff has been in place for so long without some of these provisions and reforms that we're looking at implementing here in the next couple of months.
But it's important from the standpoint that, if you've got a bomb maker in Yemen, I'm just picking countries here, making a bomb and communicating with an American, do you hear the echoes of 9/11 back there? We have an interest in knowing that. So the whole question here is, how do we keep this very important intelligence collecting tool there to protect us and at the same time to protect Americans' right to privacy?